Hi, folks. Welcome to A Formula for Success. This is the place where we examine the Bible and discover all of the instruction and insights that the Word of God gives to us, formulas, if you will, that will help you to be a success. And so we're dealing today with surrounding yourself for success. My son has just recently taken a church, and as he has done that, as it goes with most situations like that, you have your time, you're there, you're trying to get adjusted, but one of the big things that you're doing is to figure out, okay, who am I going to surround myself with so that I can fulfill what God is calling me to do? And that's not always easy. There's a lot of things that goes into that, but it's essential. It's necessary. I've got a man by the name of Joe who's he is renting one of the suites that we have, and he's starting a business there. And it's very interesting. He started with a partner, and it became very apparent to him immediately in this that this partnership was not going to work out. It just was not the right fit. And instinctively, I think they both understand that it is so important to surround yourself with the right people if you are going to be successful. And so we're going to talk about that. Somebody once said, "Show me your best friends and I'll show you your future." I don't know if that's completely true or not, but I can tell you that the fact is who you surround yourself with can have a profound impact on the level of success that you can achieve. And the reason is because those people can and often do have a significant influence on your life, whether that's negative or positive. It just depends on who it is. It reminds me of a story about some frogs. There were some frogs, and they were just hopping along through the woods. And as they were hopping along, two of the younger frogs started racing one another, seeing who could out-hop the other one. And they just were racing back and forth, hopping back and forth. And all of a sudden, both of those little frogs fell into a deep hole. Now, when that happened, all the other frogs gathered around the top. And the two little frogs began trying to jump, to get up and to get out of that hole. But it became apparent fairly soon that they were not going to be able to get out of that hole. It was just so deep. And the frogs at the top finally said, "You know what? You guys need to just quit. You just need to crawl over in a corner and die because it's futile. There's nothing else you can do. So just quit. You need to just give up and quit." Well, one of the frogs heard what they said and decided to crawl over into a hole. And as he sat there, he finally gave up the little froggy ghost and died. But the other frog, to the frustration of all of those that were standing on the rim, he just kept jumping. And they became frustrated and they started yelling, "You need to quit. You need to stop all of this. Just stop. Just stop." And it seemed like that all of their yelling just motivated him all the more. And he kept jumping and jumping and jumping. And just when they were so frustrated, one last leap and he just made it out. You want to know why that frog made it out of that hole? Because that little frog was deaf and he couldn't hear what they were saying. He actually thought that they were cheering him on. He thought, wow, these people are really wanting me to make it. And that encouraged him and it motivated him and it inspired him to do more than he thought that he could. Here's the question. Who are you listening to? What are they telling you? Are they saying you're not good enough? You're never going to get into that company. You're never going to be able to accomplish that dream. You're never going to be able to complete that goal. Or are they saying, you're talented. God has a plan for your life, and I believe in you. I believe that you're going to be a success. I believe that you're going to be able to do this, because the fact is, who you surround yourself with will either keep you down, destroying your hopes and your dreams, whereas having the right people surrounding you can have a profound impact on your life. It can help you to go higher and farther than you ever dreamed possible. What I'm really talking about is getting the right people on the bus. I'm talking about surrounding yourself for success. My father has a saying. He says, we're called to minister to everyone, but you cannot minister with everyone. You see, he understands that who you surround yourself with has a profound impact on how successful you're going to be, how high you're going to be able to go, how much you're going to be able to accomplish. Now, let's go back and let's look for a second at the parable of the frogs, or if you will, his friends who were outside of the hole. And one of the things that we see in this is that I think they got tired of waiting on the two who were stuck in the hole, those that were stuck in their particular situation. And since they got tired, they told the frogs in the hole just to give up and die. You need to just quit all of this. And unfortunately, one of the frogs heard what his friends said and accepted their input and finally gave up the little froggy ghost. He died. You know, at first, and this is important, at first his friends were supporting him and, he was trying to help him to get out of that situation. But once their words changed, once they grew a little tired with it and suddenly they have a new message. You need to just quit. It's too late. It's too far gone. You can't make it. Just give up on that dream. Just give up on that goal, that ambition. His heart changed, and so did his actions. He did give up. He stopped jumping. He stopped trying to achieve what he was going to achieve. The point is, their words killed his efforts and eventually his life. And the only reason why the other frog didn't die with him is because he was deaf. He couldn't hear him. Again, show me your friends that you surround yourself with, and I'll show you your future. Because the fact is, we have to learn to surround ourselves for success. So let's look at a few things that we can learn from the parable. What could we learn from this? And by the way, I am going to give you some insights too on how you can actually find the right people. But here's some things that we can learn from the parable. First of all, don't surround yourself with people who are going to give up on you quickly. Now, why would somebody want to give up on you so quickly? Well, first of all, maybe they didn't believe in you to begin with. It might be, and it usually stems from self-interest. It's really about them, and they've just sacrificed their own interest just as long as they can tolerate it. Because it's not all about them. They're ready for you to give up. So be careful that the people are not sacrificing your interest for the fulfillment of theirs, so that they can get back on with, the world revolving around them, or they can get back to their things. So don't surround yourself with people who are going to give up on you too quickly. Number two, don't surround yourself with people who will kill your dreams. And I'm talking about negative people. Now, I'm not talking about not taking criticism. Listen, in fact, it's funny. I was talking with another person who leases one of our spaces, and I I was talking to him about a product that I thought would go very well in his shop. I really did. But I thought about it afterwards, and I thought, Tony, I don't even know why you told him that, because that's none of your business. Why? You know what I'm saying? That didn't have anything to do. And I felt a little bad about it. And I went to him and I said, Dennis, I said, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have even said anything. I was just kind of talking, and I had an idea and I wanted to share it. He said, no. He said, I love it. He said, I try to listen to all ideas. He said, now, they have to be good ones for me to use them. And he said, not every idea I'm going to use. But he said, I try to listen to all ideas. And I think that's a wonderful place to be, is to hear people and to see this. But what I'm talking about is surrounding yourself with people that are constantly wanting to kill your dreams. I'm talking about negative people. You look at the sky. Today's a very beautiful day here in Holland, Michigan, and the sky is blue. But you got some people that say, yeah, it's going to be too hot, or, it's just too bright out. Some people might say, well, I don't know if it's that blue. It looks a little grayish blue to me. In other words, they've always got something negative to say. You say, I'm looking forward to doing this, and then they immediately want to try to find the fault in it. You just don't need to surround yourself with somebody who's always a negative Nelly. So I just encourage you to don't surround yourself with them. Number three, some people are so frustrated with their own lives that they want to attempt to frustrate yours. Misery loves company. And I would just encourage you to avoid those people. People that are always trying to bring you down. It looks like you're going to be a success. I'll give you this. We had a person that had given up drinking, and he was an alcoholic, and and I watched this, and he went to some different family functions, and you would think, boy, these, they know the struggle that he has had. And you would think that maybe they could just, for this one dinner, they could give up drinking. But no. They in fact, some people even offered him a drink. And you get some people like that they really love to see, your dreams frustrated. So I would avoid those people. And the fourth thing is, if you keep receiving the wrong input, you shouldn't think that you're going to maintain a desire to produce the right output. The people, the friends, the frogs were sitting around the hole, and they just kept giving this barrage of, you're never going to make it, you're not strong enough, you're too small. And if you're constantly hearing that you're not good enough, that you're not pretty enough, that you're not smart enough, that you're just not, you don't come from that type of family, or whatever the case is, eventually you're going to believe that. I wonder, have you ever seen the movie Rudy? I know many of you have, and I have too, and I love that movie. Do you remember the scene where his dad goes to the bus station where Rudy is? He's about ready to go to Notre Dame. And his father sits down with him and is going to try to talk some sense into him. And here's what he says. He says, you're going to take a few weeks off. You're going to come back here and you're going to get a real job. And it's at this moment where his father expresses his skepticism, that he doesn't really believe in Rudy's dream to play college football for Notre Dame. He goes even beyond that, and he begins to then tell the story about how his father gave up his security going after a dream. And it was to have milk cows and all the cows died, and for whatever reason, and they lost the farm, and his dad had to start over again. And he thought that was such a devastating thing, just because you went after a stupid dream. And he was saying, we're Rudikers. We live a pretty good life. That ought to be good enough. And kept constantly trying to tell him he just wasn't good enough. And Rudy just would refuse to crawl in that corner and allow his dreams to die. No, he learned to turn a deaf ear, and he said, I've got to go. I've got to go. And he got on the bus, and I'll let you watch the movie if you haven't seen it, or maybe you'll be inspired to watch it again. But, I mean, you understand what I'm saying. Who you choose to surround yourself with will either support or kill your dreams. So you really have to choose wisely. Now, I deal with this a lot in some of the classes that we teach at SAILS. SAILS is our School of Advanced Innovative Leadership Studies. And we have a lot of different programs that we do. One of the things that we try to do is that we get with churches and organizations to help them to develop an internship or a leadership pipeline so that they can actually have the personnel that they need, and that that personnel is equipped so that they can accomplish what God has called them to do. I wish you would check out christianconcepts.co, go to the SAILS tab, look at all the different courses that we offer. I guarantee you it'll be worth your time. Check it out. Okay, getting back, let me give you some examples in the Bible. Some people, and we're talking about now surrounding yourself for success. And I'm reminded of Abraham and Lot. This is a great example of someone who refused to separate himself from his family. You see, when you look in Genesis 12, verse 1, and then verse 4 later on, God told Abraham to separate himself from his family and from that land. When you get to verse 4, you find out that then he decides that he's going to take Lot with him. Well, Lot would have been a part of the family. It was his nephew. But he hated to separate himself from that. There are some people, and they hate to separate themselves from their old friends, from these acquaintances, from these people that might be. And I'm not talking about, listen, I realize that sometimes you have to, there are some people, their family or what have you, and you have to spend some time with them, but you need to be limited in that, especially if they're negative or if they're trying to kill your dreams. When you look at this, because of his refusal to separate himself, it eventually caused strife to incur between Lot's herdsmen and Abraham's herdsmen. Not only this, but Abraham even had to go to war and to rescue Lot and his family. All of this was because Abraham refused to obey God and to separate himself from his family. Let me give you another one. And that's King Rehoboam. And this is in 1 Kings chapter 12. It's very interesting. When he came to power, the people sought relief from the heavy taxation of his father that Solomon had imposed. And so first he talked to the older counselors, and they advised him that they should speak to the people very civilly, that he should try to listen and, try to work something out. He didn't like that. So then he sought the advice of the young men that he had grown up with. These are the people he surrounded himself. And they gave the opposite advice. They told him, you need to bear down hard. You need to tell them, I'm the king. And you need to just do this. And because of this, Jeroboam and the people rebelled. And it resulted in 10 tribes of Israel breaking away and forming a separate independent kingdom. And this was in large part because of who Rehoboam chose to surround himself with. It absolutely split the kingdom. Now, there were some other things that were there too and that were prophesied, but the point that I am saying is this happened. And why did this happen? Because of who he surrounded himself with. I'm going to tell you something. There's been many people that have split their church or split their organization or had a terrible, simply because of who they chose to surround themselves with, because this was who was going to influence them. This is who they were listening to. So how do you choose who to surround yourself with? Well, there's an acronym that I'd like you to consider. And the acronym is SHAPE, SHAPE. And it shows what you should look for when you're putting together a team. So let's start with the first letter, S. And that is, I think you want to look for strengths. Look for people with the right skill set to accomplish the needed task. There's nothing wrong. Listen, there are sometimes I've seen this where a person wants to put in somebody because maybe it's their wife, maybe it's a brother, maybe it's a good friend, and you love that person and you say, you know what, I would love for this person to work with me. But if you're not careful, you're setting that person up for failure instead of setting them up for success. It's important to figure out what are the strengths that you have, what is the talents that you have here, the giftings that you have, that you've exhibited, that I think you could be a success by doing this. So look for people with the right skill set. Number 2, heart. This is H, heart. These people need to have passion, or be a person who is motivated and passionate about what you're doing. First of all, let me tell you this. Normally, no one is going to be as passionate about your business or about your ministry as you are. Just a fact. But you need to find people that are passionate, that they have a passion for success. They have a passion for excellence. I've got a saying that I like to use, and that is, if you want it to be good, let it go. If you want it to be great, everything matters. But in order for it to be great, in order to develop a company like Disney or a company like Amazon or something of that nature. That doesn't just happen. That doesn't just fall in your lap. You have to make a determination and be determined that it's going to be done with excellence. That what we do is done with excellence. Everything matters if you want it to be great. That takes passion. That takes heart. And so you have to find people that are passionate people, that have heart. Number 3, and this is A. So we're S-H-A, attitude. Find people to surround yourself with that are positive and that have a team player attitude. If you got a person and they're constantly negative, they think they're better than everybody else, and they and they may have a great skill set, but if they're so negative and they don't work well with others, I'm not sure that I wouldn't give that one a hard pass, because they're never going to help you as a team to succeed. See, here's something to keep in mind. And it's this idea of synergy. Synergy is that the sum is greater than its individual parts. What you can do individually will take you so far, but what you can do collectively with a team can take you even farther. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. So if you have a person that is not wanting to be a part of a team, they're probably not going to help your organization to go as far as you want it to go. The fourth thing, S-H-A-P, personality. Try to place these people in positions that fit their personality. Let me give you a good example of this, what I'm talking about. If you have a person who is very creative, maybe they're very musical, or they're they're very artistic in regard to drawing or painting, or even with computers and that sort of thing, but they're very, very creative. You need to have something that's going to have a lot of variety for them and will allow them to express themselves, at least to a degree, in this. If you have a person who is extremely, they're like accountants. They're like little beavers. Everything has to be just right. They're perfectionists and everything. They're like, well, then you want to give them a place. What I'm saying is, find a place where their personalities will mesh with the position. They'll be happier and you'll get a greater result. And the final thing, SHAPE, experiences. Learn something about their experiences. Try to figure out where to place them as to where they've been successful in the past. And maybe they don't even recognize this, but then they see it. Wow, you know what? This person was really good. They ought to check this out and try this. And it takes a little time to do this. Don't be in such a hurry to put someone in. Take your time. Jesus prayed all night to ensure that he surrounded himself with the right people. And he changed the world because of it. You don't have to be rude or make some grandiose statement, that, hey, you know what? I'm no longer going to be with you losers. I'm no longer going to be dealing with you folks, But you do need to focus on the voices that are speaking into your life and who you are surrounding yourself with for success. God has a destiny for your life. And to accomplish that, it's going to take more than just you. So the fact is, who you surround yourself with determines how successful you're going to be in life. So I want to encourage you, be choosy as you allow those that are going to be on the bus. I believe if you consider and apply what we've talked about tonight, this will prove to be, I think, a formula for your success. Hey, I'm Dr. Anthony Adams. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on A Formula for Success.